Hello everyone, great show for you today, and on today's show, we have a special report about Tesla. It says it's making its factory safer, but it says some key injuries off the books. Welcome back today, everyone. We have for you the Tesla special Elon Musk report that we've been teasing since 2 nights ago. And we are back today to deliver that to you. So it's going to be fun. We got a great show for you today. But first, for those of you who listen to the show daily, I do want to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the world. Some big news in the Kim Jong-un situation. Mike Pompeo, the CIA director and Secretary of State nominee, traveled to North Korea over Easter to lay groundwork for the summit meeting between its leader and President Trump, according to 2 people briefed on the trip. So what we know is Trump alluded to the visit Tuesday when he said the United States was in direct talks with North Korea at extremely high levels, and that's a quote from him. The death of Barbara Bush also took place on Tuesday. The wife of America's 41st president and the mother of the 43rd died on Tuesday at her home in Houston. She was 92. She was always loyal to her family. And she would do almost anything to help the administration, but she wouldn't dye her hair, change her wardrobe, or lose some weight. She once said. She drew a line at one point. So a dispute between the Trump administration and its very own ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, widened on Tuesday after the White House contradicted her announcement that the U.S. was planning new sanctions on Russia. The National Economics Advisor Larry Kudlow blamed her comments on momentary confusion, but he later apologized. As it turns out, she was basically following what she thought was the policy. He told the Times the policy was changed, and she wasn't told about it, so she was in a box. Yeah, you better apologize, Larry. So an earthquake 112 years ago had devastated the city of San Francisco, which lives in certainty that another big one will come. California has made significant strides in earthquake preparedness, but because of a severe housing shortage, San Francisco has been building more skyscrapers. As a result, the downtown area is denser and more vertical and potentially more dangerous. So that is the worrying thing with San Francisco. So after flirting last week with having the U.S. rejoin a Trans-Pacific Partnership, President Trump appeared to rebuff the idea in a post on Twitter. The IRS website won't be joining death and taxes the only certainties in life. The site was down most of Tuesday, and the deadline for taxpayers to file their 2017 returns. Procrastinators were given an extra day to file. So Starbucks will close its 8,000 U.S. stores for a day next month to conduct anti-bias training after the arrest of 2 black men in one of its outlets prompted outrage. And finally, U.S. stocks were up on Tuesday. The global stocks in Britain, the FTSE 100 was up 72. That is on right now. That is functioning right now. Nikkei is closed up 1.42%. FTSE's up 70.72, not 70%. Shanghai is down is up 0.8%. So yeah, that's how it worked. We will look at that. So finally, we have our quote of the day today. With all due respect, I don't get confused. That's Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, after she was said to have been confused about policy on the Russian sanctions. All right, that's what you need to know today. Now we get to the real show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for our promised Elon Musk report on what in the world is going on in his factories. Thank you so much for joining us here today. This is a Newsflash special report. My name is Spencer Walsh. Gotta love that music there. All right, so anyway, as we know, inside Tesla's electric car factories, pretty. There's giant red robots They heave car parts in the air while workers wearing black toil on aluminum car bodies. Forklifts and tuggers zip by on gray painted floors, differentiated from pedestrian walkways by another shade of gray. But there is no yellow to mark safety or caution hazards. Concerned about bone-crushing collisions and the lack of clearly marked pedestrian lanes at the Fremont, California plant, the Fremont, California Tesla's plant, the General Assembly line's then lead safety professional went to her boss, who said she told her Elon does not like the color yellow. She just doesn't like it. So, therefore, screw safety, obviously. Anyway, that kind of a direct control over what we see in Tesla continues to be very disturbing. And the melding of the cutting-edge technology and the world-saving vision is Tesla Incorporated's big draw. Many, including Justine White, the safety lead, went to work there, inspired by Elon Musk, a CEO with star power, and now a groundbreaking rocket in space. We heard about that, the Falcon SpaceX, the Falcon Heavy from SpaceX. He just launched in the air. I mean, how does he manage it all the time he's spending? It's pretty incredible. What she and some of her colleagues found, they said, was a chaotic factory floor where style and speed trump safety. Musk's name often was involved to justify shortcuts and shoot down concerns. They said, under fire for mounting injuries, Tesla recently touted a sharp drop in its injury rate in 2017, which it says came down to meet the audio industry average of about 6.2 injuries per 100 workers. But things are not what they seem at Tesla. An investigation by Reveal from the Center of Investigative Reporting found that Tesla had failed to report some of its serious injuries on legally mandated reports, making the company's injuries numbers look better than they actually are. So they pretty much faked their injury numbers. State and federal law requires most companies to make annual reports of all work injuries. Companies must record every work-related injury or illness that results in time off. Work restrictions or medical treatment beyond first aid. Serious injuries are defined as those requiring days off work or job restrictions. These rates are based on a calculation of injuries per 100 workers. So in 2015, there's the 2016 calculation, and then there's the 2017 calculation for Tesla. So there's the Tesla total injury rate in 2015 was about 8.8 compared to 6.7 for the automobile industry total injury rate. So as you can see, that's like about 2 people higher, almost 3 people higher. So it's really pretty disturbing there. So 8.1, that's the amended rate, according to this graph created by Reveal and the U.S. Department of Labor. And 6.2 then would be the automobile industry total injury rate. So it's 8.1 versus 6.2 total injuries. 2017, it suddenly dropped, Tesla's did, to 6.2. That's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Yeah, so it's like, it's a miracle. It's really what it is. While the automobile industry total injury rate is not yet available, the Tesla serious injury rate for 2015-2016 was 7.9. Then it bounced down to 7.3. They had to amend those in 2016. Whereas the automobile industry serious injury rate was 3.9 and then 4. So it's about 4 people injured versus around 8 or 7 for Tesla. It's a pretty substantial margin of difference. So it's something you got to worry about. Last April, though, Tariq Logan suffered debilitating headaches. He was a worker there at a Tesla factory. Debilitating headaches from the fumes of toxic glue he had used at the plant. He texted his mom, "I'm in hella pain for real. Something ain't right." Yeah, something ain't right. The searing pain became so unbearable he couldn't work, and it plagued him from leaks. But Logan's inhalation injury, as it was diagnosed, never made it onto the official injury logs that state and federal law factories. That state and federal law requires companies to keep. Neither did reports from other factory workers of sprains, strains, or repetitive stress injuries from piercing together Tesla sleek cars. Instead, company officials labeled the injuries personal medical issues or minor incidents requiring only first aid, according to internal company records obtained by Reveal. Undercounting injuries is one of the symptoms of a more fundamental problem at Tesla. The company has put its manufacturing of electric cars above safety concerns, according to 5 former members of its environment, health, and safety team who left the company last year. That way, they said, has put workers unnecessarily in harm's way. At one point, Justine White, who was the old safety aficionado there, said she warned superiors about a potential explosion hazard. But was told they would refer to production managers because fixing the problem would require stopping the production line. That's unforgivable in the Elon Musk world. From September 2016 to January 2017, White oversaw safety for thousands of workers on Tesla's general assembly line, in charge of responding to injuries, reviewing injury records, teaching safety classes, and assessing the factory for hazards. Everything took a backseat to production. It's just a matter of time before somebody gets killed, White said. So, that's what she says when she describes the environment there. Tesla, worth about $50 billion, employs more than 10,000 workers at its Fremont factory. Alongside the company's remarkable rise, workers have been sliced by machinery, crushed by forklifts, and burned in electrical explosions, even sprayed with molten metal. The conditions there are just not safe, and it's becoming pretty clear and pretty disturbing at this point. Tesla recorded around 722 injuries last year, about 2 a day. The rate of serious injuries requiring time off or work restrictions was 30% worse than the previous year's industry average. So when I talked about the rates before, the rates of injuries on this little graph that I presented to you, those were out of 100 workers. So just now, make that kind of in a proportion of the total workers. Like, just make that, like, it would be 8.8 over 100, and then you bring that out to 10,000 people. That is going to be a serious increase. It's going to be a serious increase in, it's going to be 2 decimal points over. So if you look at that, that's like 880 people injured in 2015. If I did my math right, which is always up for debate there, which is still pretty crazy. It's about 2 a day last year and more in the past years. The rate of serious injuries requiring time off or work restrictions was about 30% worse than the previous year's industry average. So frantic growth, constant changes, and lax rules combined with the CEO, whom senior managers were afraid to cross, created an atmosphere which few dared to stand up, for worker safety. The former environment, health, and safety team members told Reveal. And in addition to yellow, Musk was said to dislike too many signs in the factory and the warning beeps forklifts make when backing up. Former team members said his preferences, they said, were well known and led to cutting back on those standard safety signals. Like, I mean, you get the feeling like when there's forklifts, especially inside in a smaller contained room than what the outside would normally be, you'd think they just come in automatically. Maybe had them like uninstalled or something like that, because he's just like, no, I can't stand it. Like, it's just like, it just triggers him so much. It's really quite and he puts that. It's not even like he's sacrificing production. It's just sacrificing his personal taste. Like, sit in a soundproof glass box over the factory if you want to put on some like earphones. I don't know. It's so ridiculous. So, those preferences, as we know, were led to people just feeling like they had to cut back on those standard safety signals. As someone said, Elon doesn't like something, you were concerned because you could lose your job. Susan Rigg-Maiden, the former environmental compliance manager, said a few months into her job, White became so alarmed that she wrote to a human resources manager that the risk of injury was too high. People are getting hurt every day, and near incidents where people are getting almost crushed or hit by cars is